Hello guys, Crispy here and welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing the GTX 962GB in Cyberpunk 2077. This one is the gaming version from MSI. As you can see, it's overclocked over here, plus 100 MHz on the core clock and plus 200 MHz on the memory clock. I'm running it with a Ryzen 7 3700X and 16 GB of RAM. We're also utilizing the latest NVIDIA drivers for 60.89. Also, you don't need the Ryzen 7 3700X, of course, if you don't want to bottleneck a GTX 960. Something like a Ryzen 3 3100 or even a slower CPU than that should be absolutely enough. Anyways, I'm playing at 1080p, as you can see right there. We're also going to be testing this one at 900p, which is 1600 by 900, and 720p, which is 1280 by 720. Starting off at 1080p. I don't think we're going to test lower resolutions than that with the resolution scale, by the way. Texture quality set to low because we only have 2 gigs of VRAM. We're also utilizing the low settings preset, so everything is basically set to the minimum settings. And over on the gameplay tab, I'm running it with the high crowd density setting. It doesn't really matter because I have a 3700X, so it will lower our FPS by 1. Okay, here we are, and oh boy, alright, it's right around 30 FPS, which is not too bad, but it's dropping, you know, so the good thing is, I believe you can play this game with 25 frames per second, or at least some people are enjoying it at those frame rates, as I've seen in the comments, you know. So if that's you, if you don't mind these low FPS, I do mind it. I can barely drive like this. Well, I can barely drive even if with 60 frames per second, but still, that's besides the point. If you don't mind 20 something FPS, maybe, but I don't think so. It does drop into the low 20s. We're actually getting the same averages and 1% lows as the RX 560, so that's a little bit surprising, and not at the same time, because we've seen with the 10 series GPUs that this game's not really that well optimized, or optimized at all, for GPUs from older generations, at least from NVIDIA. So the 960 being a 900 series GPU, yeah, they didn't really pay too much attention to optimizing the game for these cards, unfortunately. Over here in a less demanding area, we're getting 30s, not too bad. Keep in mind, this 960 is overclocked, so with the stock version of the card, you're probably gonna experience like 3 less FPS, maybe 2 on average. But yeah, it sucks to see that this GPU isn't really capable of running Cyberpunk at 1080p with the low settings, unless you are, again, one of those people that can play the game and enjoy it. Oh my god, what the heck, at 25 FPS. So that's been it for 1080p. Unfortunately, pretty bad results. I was expecting a little bit better, just a little bit, you know, but yeah, it is definitely slower than, for example, a 1050 Ti, 1600 by 900 resolution, same settings right here. We're using 100 FOV, by the way, but that's because, well, I prefer it this way. Let's do this. Alright, 900p in this less intensive area, 30s. Yeah, it's not that good, but I think it's a little bit better, again, than the RX 560, so that's something going for the 960. Now, keep in mind, the 960 has always been faster, especially in older games, than the RX 560. Although, if we go by raw performance, it should perform a lot better than the RX 560, by the way. I'm trying to find that other area that's very, very demanding, you know, when you start off the game. I think it's right here. Yeah, people just run in front of my car. That's a very smart idea. So you know what? At least our averages are above 30 FPS, even inside of the city, which is extremely demanding. This area right here is probably the most demanding one that we've come across so far in all of the benchmark videos that I've done, actually. And yeah, I don't know, it still drops into the mid-20s a few times here and there, but it could be worse, I guess. Like, we've seen a lot worse with GT 1030, for example, GTX 750 Ti, GT 710, of course. Like, at 1080p with the GTX 960, low settings, I, for example, wouldn't really enjoy that experience, but I could get used to this experience right now. We're after all getting 30 plus FPS on average, and most of the time it's in the 30s. So yeah, a couple of drops here and there, but not really that big of a deal. If you really are desperate to play this game and you have a GTX 960, 900p is not too bad, but we also have 720p to test, of course, so let's do that. Okay, here we go, 1280 by 720, using the same settings as earlier, of course. And 50s, 40s, not too bad. Now, this is not really that demanding. Let's go back there to the very demanding spot and see if it drops from 30. If it doesn't drop from 30, I will be impressed, and I will actually call it playable, okay, for me. So 40s around the city, this is not too bad. We're arriving, we're almost there, and 30s, it drops into the 30s, but it doesn't drop from 30, which is great. So this is what I wanted to see. Oh gosh, slight stutter there. Yeah, the 960 is doing a fine job at 720p low settings, and this is again one of the most demanding areas that we've come across so far. So it's good to see that you can play the game at 720p with 30 plus FPS all of the time. If you want to lock your frame rate to 30, you can do so, play with a controller maybe, have a better than PS4-like experience, you know. At least the 960 can provide a more playable experience than the PS4. Which is great. This is 720p, the PS4 also plays the game at 720p most of the time. It's dynamic resolution in the consoles, but they usually run very close to 720p. And if you want to use the Fidelity FX setting, by the way, if you want to enable that at 100% resolution scale, you will lose like 1 FPS. We've seen that with the 560 as well. Be free to use it, it doesn't really impact your FPS too much. It's kind of negligible, and after seeing the footage when I was editing it, and after comparing 720p without Fidelity FX and with Fidelity FX, I didn't really see much of a difference, to be honest, guys. So yeah, at least at 100% resolution scale. Okay, one last test. I'm gonna stop the counting system right there. We've seen that it doesn't drop from 30, but I really want to check out an area where the 560 did drop quite a bit from 30 FPS at 720p. By the way, at nighttime you actually lose like 2 FPS, so keep that in mind. And this is it. This is the very demanding area. Like right here in this road, the 560 dropped to 25 FPS, and the 960 seems to be doing a really nice job. It's nighttime now, and it seems like I'm just gonna go really fast through this road, okay? Just to see, like, worst case scenario. I think that other area was a little bit more demanding than this one, that roundabout, you know, but yeah. Okay, 33 there. Yeah, it gets close to 30, but it doesn't drop from it. So yeah, if you want to play this game at 30 plus all of the time, I think 720p is a good bet. And it kind of looks a little bit bad on low settings, to be honest, and this resolution. It looks smudgy, and it looks like it looks really soft, you know, the image. But you can play like this, I guess. So if you really want to play this game, you can rest assured that the 960 will do a decent job. So thank you very much for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to watch more videos like this one, of course, I'll catch you guys in the next one very soon. Love you all. Bye-bye.